What is your favorite Pokemon game? It could be one of the mainline games like Pokemon Black and White or Pokemon Sun and Moon. Or maybe you like a Pokemon spin-off game like Pokemon Ranger or Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Maybe you're even a fan of something like Pokemon Go or Magikarp Jump. If you agreed with any of these answers, you're wrong. Bold thing to say, right? Well, if we're being honest, I think there's something much more bold. The fact that you all are sleeping on this game. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sleeping on it sometimes too. In fact, I sleep on it every night. Without a single question in my mind, we are going to be talking about the best Pokemon game of all time. That game, of course, being Pokemon Sleep. It might sound corny, but this game actually did help me turn my sleep around. I think Pokemon Sleep is genuinely a very feel-good game that really captures the essence of what brought us all to Pokemon in the first place. There's just something about today that inspired me to talk about why Pokemon Sleep is so great. But we're also going to go over the essence that is inside every bit of Pokemon. Real quick though, if you are new around here, I would really appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel. The support really goes a long way on a new channel like mine. Anyways, now that chill time is over, let's get into why Pokemon Sleep is the GOAT. Right away, we're going to touch on a comment that I made in the intro of the video. To quote my past self, I mentioned that Pokemon Sleep captures the essence of what brought us all to Pokemon in the first place. I want you to think back to when you were a kid playing and experiencing Pokemon. It was such a simpler time back then. You weren't worrying about how your Pokemon was EV'd or IV'd. You also didn't have to worry about your favorite Pokemon sucking in Pokemon Unite. No, because back then, the essence of Pokemon when you were a kid is the simple feeling of just getting the Pokemon that you love and having them on their team and showing them off to your friends. When I think of this feeling, I think of my brother borrowing my copy of Pokemon Platinum and me opening it years and years later to see that his team was just 6 level 100 Charizards. At first, when I saw that, I couldn't believe that he would just want 6 of the same Pokemon. But I think his team perfectly captures that essence. If I would have seen him make this team while he was playing, I most likely would have made fun of him for it. However, in his solitude, he wasn't afraid to pick 6 Charizards. And I think that's something that's really cool and really beautiful. Okay, but I know what you're thinking. What does this have to do with Pokemon Sleep? Well, the gameplay mechanics of Pokemon Sleep are completely focused on harnessing that innocent feeling of being excited to get a Pokemon. For the people who don't know how the gameplay works of Pokemon Sleep, basically, every day you get to feed your Snorlax 3 meals, and those meals will level up your Snorlax on that island. The rarity of your Pokemon is decided by this level that your Snorlax has. Then you activate the sleep tracking when you go to sleep, so then when you wake up you can befriend various types of Pokemon. The Pokemon you make friends with will give you the ingredients to level up your Snorlax with the meals, and that's essentially the entire gameplay loop. The feeling you get when you wake up in the morning to befriend some of these new Pokemon, I can really only compare to playing your first Pokemon game. Playing Pokemon Go for the first time also had this effect. And finally, I think Legends Arceus was also able to harness this energy. But that innocent, wholesome feeling isn't the only thing Pokemon Sleep has going for it. Realistically, Pokemon Sleep is a small cog in the giant machine that is the Pokemon IP. But all of these different pieces of media within this machine all share one quality in common. Whether it be the TCG, Unite, Pokemon Go, VGC, the anime, anything like that. At the end of the day, the Pokemon Company is trying to expose you to as many different types of Pokemon as possible, because they're trying to expose you to your new favorite Pokemon. Have you ever thought about how Cramorant and Crustle made it onto the main roster of Unite? It's definitely not because they're popular, and unfortunately it's definitely not because they're trying to represent a minority of players who do like these Pokemon. The reason they were likely chosen for Unite is 1, because they probably have easily transferable movesets to a MOBA, but 2, if they can shine a different light on these Pokemon, maybe you'll like them a little bit more. Personally, before, even as someone who really loves bug types, I really didn't pay much attention to Crustle. But you make him a Pokemon in a MOBA that can't be hindered by crowd control moves, and can just push people around and do a ton of damage, now we're talking. He's super fun and super cool. And this happens to a lot of people with a lot of different Pokemon. Some examples are Pachirisu from VGC, Garbodor and Comfey from TCG, Pansage, Pansear, Pampor from Pokemon Concierge. What I'm trying to say is, if you didn't like these Pokemon at first, you can bet your bottom dollar that Pokemon is going to repackage them and show you them in a new light so you can find that new favorite Pokemon. Now it's clear that their intention for this is to make more money. However, even if that is the case, isn't that super cool that Pokemon can just do that with the endless amount of creatures they have? I cannot tell you how many Pokemon that I have not given a second glance before, but I see them really cutely sleeping in Pokemon Sleep, and now I'm in love. This idea that Pokemon can recontextualize any design they've ever had in a new light and all of a sudden you'll like it is why I personally don't think there's a single bad Pokemon design. If there's anything that you should gather from all of this, it's that a Pokemon may look cool or cute or awesome, but at the end of the day, the thing that'll stick with you the most is the experiences that you've had with these Pokemon. I go to a lot of Pokemon TCG events and I love asking people what their favorite Pokemon is. Because usually there's some sort of story or really cool moment that's associated with it that they'll share with you. I mean, probably the most famous story of a favorite Pokemon being created is from Sejun Park. I actually alluded to him a little bit earlier. In VGC, Sejun Park won the World Championships with a Dark Horse Pokemon that he added to his team, that Pokemon being Pachirisu. There's a lot of amazing videos you can watch about how this happened. I mean, even the Pokemon Company themselves made one. But I don't think anyone could have predicted that Sejun would find his favorite Pokemon in a moment like that. This is the essence that makes Pokemon so special. The constant exposure to new creatures, or maybe even old creatures in a repackaged light, is just the conduit to have a new experience that unlocks our new favorite Pokemon. And that's why even a game that's just a sleep tracker made by the Pokemon Company is so important, because it perfectly encapsulates and harnesses the essence of Pokemon. If you made it this far in the video, I first want to say sorry for clickbaiting you. I promise I won't clickbait that bad in the future. I would just ask you to look at the date that this video was posted. Yeah, sorry I'm being that guy. On a more serious note though, if you want to go down in the comments and share your story about how you got with your favorite Pokemon, I would really love to hear that. And since you're down there, of course, just a reminder to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I really enjoy making these Pokemon videos and have a few more planned, so I hope you're excited for that. And finally, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, whatever, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!